Stadium.
Square head and the defined jawline.
With a unique horseshoe design.
What's up, Squad? It's your Squid, aka the Anxious Squid. This is going to be a 3-part video. Don't stress, I won't be offended if you don't watch it, but it was a request from a patron of mine. His name's Bob. You $5, you get a guaranteed reaction on Patreon. Given it's a 3-parter, he gave me a little bit extra, but yeah, per video, $5. Check it out. The link's at the top of the description, but yeah, we'll just get straight into it because it's going to be 3 videos and I may as well keep it going, you know, like from the start. Michigan versus Ohio State, the rivalry.
You know that feeling that you got in the pit of your stomach the night before Christmas? Now times it by 1 million.
Alright, so the excitement. The, what is it, the Wolverines and the Buckeyes, maybe?
It's been going on for 100 years.
100 years? That's a hell of a rivalry. They local schools or something? Where's Michigan? No, Michigan's in Detroit, right?
Ohio State being the bad guys.
Michigan people
Detroit's in Michigan, you know what I meant.
This game.
And again, they are next to each other, those states, I think.
That's where I learned hatred.
That's where I learned hatred. See the punches being thrown. Alright. Alright.
What's at stake? Bragging rights.
Bragging rights.
Bragging rights. Bragging rights. If you're able to win this game, you're buying peace. You lose 365 days of pain. You gotta win the battle. All hell will break loose.
Alright, good pump up. As always, if you want to watch this video without my reaction, the link's at the bottom of the description. After all the stuff that makes me money. I am going to be pausing and discussing when I think of stuff to discuss and all that sort of stuff.
On the 3rd Saturday in November, amidst a Midwestern
old school documentary. You can tell from the way it's made, like with the sort of classical music panning up on a hill with that guy's voice, you know, like it's from the 90s or early 2000s, this documentary.
Meet for a football game. 12 months of fevered anticipation are played out on a frosted green canvas, upon which strokes of maize and blue clash with scarlet and gray.
Maize. I like that color. It's interesting.
200 miles of heartland, these uneasy neighbors engage in one of the oldest and most deeply rooted rivalries in American sports. Predating baseball's first World Series by 6 years, and the existence of the NFL by a quarter century.
Wow, they beat out the pros. Okay. Does that mean they beat out the did they beat out the pros or just the amalgamation?
Spiked with an acute sense of identity.
I'm going to make a video at some point on my channel about my theory about how I think sport has replaced religion on a global scale in terms of like coming together and bringing people together and all that sort of stuff. I think religion can be very like it's one of those hot topics now that people just get angry at each other about. Whereas sport-wise, it doesn't matter what fucking football team you enjoy. You'll talk about that great throw from Joey Montana or whatever that time, you know. I don't even think that's an actual person, but you know what I'm saying, you know. You can. It doesn't matter if you're an Aaron Rodgers fan or if you're a Patrick Mahomes fan. You can all appreciate football and you can come together and appreciate football, which is what people used to be like about Jesus and shit, you know. But that's changed these days. But anyway, yeah, that's not this video. I'll make a video about it if you want. Let me know.
Since 1935, the game has been held on the final week of the regular season, with the Big Ten Conference Championship and a shot at a national title frequently at stake.
Nice. Have a look at the mustache on old mate.
The chance to play spoiler to one's foe can be equally
Go, mate, carry him.
turning a lost season.
Oh, a fumble and a recovery. Same dude. Alright.
Sacred 10-year period. Two combative men.
Who do we like better? The Buckeyes or the Wolverines?
Becoming folk heroes along the way. And for the players who carry the weight of tradition on their shoulder pads.
Excuse me, that's the
The
Red Bull.
results of these games forever define their legacy.
What's that say? Ohio? That'd be people, that's cool. Fuck, that marching band goes off, doesn't it? Have a look at old mate with whatever the fuck instrument that is.
Steeped in proud custom. And for those to the north who have claim to the winningest program in Division I history, tradition leads back to one man.
See, like, look at this stuff. This is like the Crusades, you know? Like the fucking...
in Ann Arbor.
You're gonna go from one spot to another, you're gonna make a pilgrimage to a fucking grave site of a former coach and stuff. Like, this is... I feel like this documentary is gonna go a really long way to making that argument for me about religion and sport, you know what I mean? I feel like they're very, very similar in the way they bring people together and the way people... like, carry that feeling with them, you know what I mean? Like,
the legendary Fielding Yost.
Like, well, actually, I was about to say I'm a Swans fan. I'm not. Back home in the Aussie Rules, I'm a Giants fan because they were an expansion team in my hometown, basically. And my whole family had been supporting football in that town for generations. It's just we didn't have a team. I got a bit of a... You know, like, my whole family, still Swans supporters, I'm a Giants supporter, and there's a thing there. But, in 6 generations' time, my kids will be Giants supporters because I made that fucking decision, you know what I mean? Like, and my old man is a Swans supporter because his old man was a Swans supporter, because his old man was a Swans supporter, because his old man... You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing. It's the same connection-y thing. Like, all right, well, I'm going to bring you up as a Catholic or as a fucking Protestant or as a fucking whatever. I'm going to bring you up as a Bills fan or as a fucking... You know what I'm saying.
His train lands here in 1901. He runs into an Ann Arbor News reporter who asks him about the coming season. And he says, Michigan will not lose a game all year. And they didn't in 1901,
oh, wow.
1902, 1903, and 1904.
They went 4 years without a loss.
He was the champion of the West during the early years.
Okay.
During the first 15 games between Ohio State and Michigan, Ohio State won none of those games. Fielding Yost's Michigan team in 1902 defeated Ohio State 86-0. Even worse from the Ohio State standpoint is that game was called about halfway through the second half. The official simply brought the teams together and said, fellas, it's 86-0. I think we've probably had about enough. And it wasn't until the 16th game of the series, which was 1919, that Ohio State finally was able to beat Michigan.
The marching band's still going strong back then, too.
Put Ohio State on the national map was...
This guy looks a bit like Matt Damon.
With only a single loss in 3 seasons.
That guy looks like what's his name? The actor that played the fuckwit in The Walking Dead. Not Rick, the other one. Like, right at the beginning. The guy that, like, kills the guy and then shaves... I'll put a picture there. I don't know the actor's name. I don't know the character's name. But that guy looks like him to me. A little bit.
The Buckeye program to national prominence and inspired the construction of Ohio Stadium.
Square head and the defined jawline.
With a unique horseshoe design. While Ohioans were still admirably living off the land, Michigan's burgeoning automobile industry provided the state with newfound wealth and stature.
Yeah, of course, Michigan, fucking,
Michigan Stadium was
like the Rust Belt and stuff, like manufacturing and whatnot.
Social and economic upturn.
That'd have been fucking huge at the time.
Into one of the country's premier learning institutions.
Where's that? I missed that.
Completed in 1926.
What's going on? Like a
burgeoning automobile industry provided the state with newfound wealth and stature.
Have a look at that factory line. Have a look at that. Oh man, what I wouldn't do to bring those jobs back. Like fuck. And it's like, there's nothing you can do because you got to be paid a living wage. We have to have a minimum wage. And so long as those countries on the other side of the planet aren't going to pay that minimum wage and aren't going to have those industrial relations laws, they're going to be able to make cars cheaper. Like, that's the reality of it, you know what I mean? And so it sucks, but man, it would have been nice. I mean, here, like, I'm in Niagara Falls, for example, right? Like, fuck, I wish I was here during its heyday. You can see all the old school buildings, and it's like, it's obvious, like, from the architecture and the real Italian sort of presence in the nice bits of town, or the bits of town that used to be nice and stuff. You can tell it used to be a mob town, and when the mob left, the money left, and no one's filled that void since, other than like corrupt politicians that don't have the people's best interests at heart. But that's a whole different video and stuff. But yeah, like fuck, I wish I'd been here in America during the heyday of the automobile manufacturing boom. You know, like that would have been something, you know?
The stadium was completed in 1927. The state's social and economic upturn was reflected in the university's growth into one of the country's premier learning institutions. And with the advances of the 20th century, came an aura of elitism amongst Michiganites.
Yeah, I bet.
On the football field, the Wolverines...
how the tables turn, right? Like,
with assembly line proficiency.
seen Detroit lately?
By 1933, Michigan had won 8 national titles and had taken 9 of its last.
And I'm not
12
hanging
against
shit on
Ohio
Detroit
State.
when I say that. I just mean,
The
like,
latest era began with the prolific
in terms of, like, hoity-toity upper-class people, there's
Michigan
not
had won 8 national titles and had taken 9 of its last 12 against Ohio
that many
State.
as far as I know.
The latest era began with the prolific Benny-to-Benny connection.
Benny to Benny.
Benny Friedman and receiver Benny Oosterbahn.
Oosterbahn, that's a name.
Later included Grand Rapids-raised future U.S. President Gerald Ford.
Okay.
From Ann Arbor, seemed cut from a superior cloth. But in 1934, OSU's incoming coach, Francis Schmidt, broke through the mystique.
When he was interviewed about the job, they were asking him, how are you going to beat Michigan? And he looked them right in the eye and he said,
Just remember, they put their pants on the same way we do, one leg at a time. So when Ohio State beat them, they started the gold pants tradition.
One leg at
Ever
a
since
time, I love it.
1934,
Whenever
That's where
Ohio
that
State
saying
defeats
comes from.
Michigan, all the players and coaches get little replica gold pants.
That's sick.
And that represents 2 of the final moments in my life.
That's wicked.
I have several of those pants myself. I don't mention that around here.
Yeah.
Gold pants were immediately in style, as Ohio State thoroughly
That's
dominated
sick.
the next 4 meetings, outscoring Michigan 114-0. Hoping to reverse this unsettling trend, Michigan ushered in a new coach from the Ivy League, who made his own sartorial impact.
Fancy.
Michigan's new coach in 1938, Fritz Crisler, had come from Princeton.
That guy's got
and
the
he
classic
created-
old guy talk. I love it. Like, this is how we do things. Sorry for pausing so much and stuff, but they're like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, the real, like, there's a bad smell under your nose, sort of scrunched up face, like, just, and the pointing style storytelling, you know, and the fucking Clint Eastwood style fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
winged helmet.
Ivy League, who made his own sartorial impact.
Michigan's new coach in 1938, Fritz Crisler, had come from Princeton, and he created the winged helmet.
he's got his shoulders up here because he's been carrying his fucking emotions that he's had to hide for most of his life.
2 reasons. First, to dress up the helmet, because until then,
All in the small of
Michigan
his
just
back.
wore a plain old black leather helmet.
Man's man type
The
man, you
second
know?
reason was he wanted to have the passers be able to spot the receivers better.
So he came up with the new helmet
No
design.
one needed a winged helmet to spot the ubiquitous Tom Harmon. In the 1940 meeting in Columbus, Harmon rushed for 3 scores, passed for 2 more, and
Nice.
intercepted 3 passes for good measure.
Fucking hell, he was on both sides of the football.
Leading to a 40-0 Michigan.
Everyone played both sides, I guess, back
standing
then.
ovation from the Buckeye faithful. Michigan added 2 more titles in 47 and 48, and held a decisive lead in the rivalry by the half-century mark. But despite winning just 12 of the first 46 meetings, Ohio State was a heavy favorite in 1950, in what became the most fabled contest in the game's history.
Interesting.
Friday the night before the game, we went downtown to the National Hotel about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and everybody went to bed. But it was the next morning that was shocking.
Oh, big ass fucking blizzard. Everyone talks about a big ass blizzard here in the Falls. Was it 73? Was some year in 1970s where it was fucking blizzard was above doors, you know? It was like 8 or 9 feet of snow when you woke up. You went to bed and if you didn't have supplies, you were fucked.
It was snowing big time, it was blowing big time, and it was about 3 above. 50,000 fans showed up.
I think it was 73. Hey Google, when was the big blizzard in Buffalo?
On the website democratandchronicle.com, they say, the highest one-day snowfall total in Buffalo was 33.9 inches, set deck. 10, 1995. Buffalo's largest snow event remains the infamous Snow Week in December 2001. To find out more, look for the link in your Google Home or Google
I guess I was
Assistant
wrong.
app.
Fair enough. Thanks Google, but I guess I was wrong, man. 2001 and 95.
Travelers worked through the night preparing the gridiron for the long-awaited clash between Michigan and Ohio State.
Were they trying to cover the field then? Good tackle.
You'd be running, and all of a sudden, you'd hit an icy spot, and your feet would go right up from under you, and you'd fall flat on your face.
I laid there in the snow, and I thought, I'm going to be left here to die.
That's funny. Check that out for a photo.
The most unusual college football game ever played. There were 45 punts in that game.
That's a lot of kicking. Or punting, as the case may be.
24 times. We must have punted on first down 10 times. And I could not see their defensive backfield.
With little visibility and unforgiving winds, the snowball turned into a game of hot potato.
That's wicked. Just kick it, just kick it, kick it, kick it.
Back in hopes the other side would make a mistake. The Buckeyes capitalized first by turning a blocked punt into a field goal by Heisman Trophy winner Dick Janowitz.
Good on him. Dick Janowitz, I think he
by the
said.
Wolverines made the score 3-2. With under a minute left in the first half, and a chance to run out the clock and retain a halftime lead, Ohio State coach Wes Fessler sent out his punter instead.
Okay.
Tony Nelson,
got blocked.
Michigan, went through and blocked Janowitz's punt, fell on the ball in the end zone for the game's only touchdown. Michigan won that game 9-3 without registering a single first down.
That's insane. They won 9-3 without a single first down. What?
Fessler never coaches another day at Ohio State. He's out.
Rough.
The Wolverines escaped Columbus and made an unplanned trip to the Rose Bowl. With snowdrifts reaching 25
That's
feet,
intense.
the Great Appalachian Storm of 1950 claimed the lives of dozens of Ohioans.
Shit.
And the job of yet another Buckeyes coach. Ohio State had long been considered the graveyard of coaches. The program's search for its 19th field general, its 6th in 12 seasons, yielded the
violins.
Wayne Woodrow Hayes. Woody, as he was called, had led impressive teams at Denison University and Miami of Ohio. But after 3 unremarkable seasons in
Miami
Columbus,
of Ohio, that's an interesting college name.
Michigan, it appeared Hayes' tenure would last only as long as it took to dig another grave. But in 1954, a funny thing happened on the way to the funeral.
The turning point in that season is the fourth quarter of the Michigan game. Michigan comes to town under Coach Benny Oosterbon, and they take the opening kickoff and they drive the length of the field. The Buckeyes, right before halftime, tie the score 7-7. The third quarter is scoreless, but as play opens up in the fourth quarter,
We took the ball down all the way to the 1-yard line, and we had 4 shots at it.
Michigan then rams that Ohio State line, trying to get into the end zone and fall short.
Just get it
We
through.
had them on the ropes. It was awful.
That goal line stand at the south end of Ohio
Good
State
defense.
in the 1954 Michigan game was truly the turning point in Woody Hayes' career.
Nice.
Spurred by the defense,
All comes down to that, I guess.
Howard Hopalong Cassidy led OSU to a 21-7 victory.
Fuck, I'd have a run, son.
Propelling the Scarlet and Gray to a surprising undefeated season in the 1954 National Championship.
Alright.
Beginning
Far
in
are we going?
54,
Yeah, no, we got time, we got time.
Buckeyes won 11 of 15 against the Wolverines and were crowned national champions again in 57 and 61.
So they're making a killing, they're doing it.
Hayes had finally jammed a wedge in the revolving coaching door at Ohio State.
Who's the
More
coach now at
military
Ohio State?
tactician than X's and O's strategist, Hayes won with a brick and mortar approach, shunning the pass from 3 yards in a cloud of dust. In fact, Hayes' teams might have been called dull, if not for the man himself.
Right, so he's
Also, this
just
older
big
guy,
on the run
real
game?
mild-mannered guy, and I didn't know he was General Patton in disguise.
He's the guy you gotta hit him. You race your butt off. Get off the field.
He's the meanest sucker you've ever seen.
I'll be a goddamn son of a bitch. You're a big blizzard. In practice, he would get so upset. For God's sake. That there was a fumble or there was an interception.
Yeah, well,
that
get
he
it
would
fucking...
bite his hand until
Get it right.
He used to throw his hat down to stop it, and then he would grab the hat and just tear it apart.
Glasses. He took the watch off, threw the watch down, and jumped up and down on that. He looked like a raving madman.
Yeah, well, if it got the best out of the players, it got the best out of the players.
Show me a gracious loser and I'll show you a busboy.
You're damn right.
Yeah, show me a gracious loser and I'll show you some guy who doesn't give a fuck.
Unless it's a lady or
I want you to be pissed off that you lost.
I'll tell you what, when you're out in
I want you to
practice,
fucking feel it. I want it to burn.
intensity. Hell, there's no question who will win.
And I want you to not want that to happen again.
Nobody would ever
on summer practice at 7 in the morning. He was passed out on a couch at the facility, and the projector was still going.
So he fell asleep on it. Like, fell asleep watching.
the film. And he'd hear us and get up, get a shower, and go right back to work.
Hayes' unflinching dedication and tyrannical temper were legendary, as was his disdain for the maize and blue.
Okay.
He would never refer to Michigan by name. Anytime he referred to the University of Michigan, it was always that team up north.
They were recruiting the team in Michigan, and as they were going south, they actually ran out of gas.
He said that he would push his car across the state line before he would buy any gasoline in the state of Michigan.
Woody Hayes, everything below.
That's funny. He pushed his car before buying gas.
I didn't like anything about Woody Hayes.
You know something? I couldn't care less about that.
It all stems from my father's incredible distaste for his arrogance.
And I don't think the players are worried about it any more than I am.
If I had to pick one evil force in my life growing up as a grade school student here in Ann Arbor, it should be Brezhnev or somebody. It was Woody Hayes.
Yeah, fair enough.
If there was any question that Hayes reveled in the enmity of his foes, the 1968 encounter left no doubt.
It was a close ball game. It was 14-14.
14 all,
And
yeah.
all of a sudden, bingo.
Whack!
Is this game
Big
ever
bit of
gonna
strength.
end? Well, we couldn't stop them, and we couldn't do anything against them.
What, taking each other out?
Woody showed no mercy.
Ohio State just exploded in the second half and ended up winning that game 50-14.
Alright, so it was 14 all and they won
At
50-14.
the end of the game, because after Jim Otis had scored his fourth touchdown, Woody Hayes sent the offense back on the field for a 2-point conversion.
Okay.
And that was just to rub it in.
Good.
That was just to stick it in our face.
Good.
In the dress.
None of this fucking loyalty, none of this, like, be nice to your opponent shit. If you have a chance to bury their dick in the dirt, you should bury their fucking dick in the dirt. We're here to play sport. We're not here to hold hands. We're here to be beat or fucking, it's win or loss. You know what I mean? We're here to either beat or be beaten. And currently, we're doing some beating. You know what I mean? Like...
room after the game, and one of the sports writers was asking Woody Hayes, hey, you were up by 36 points, the game's almost over, why would you go for 2?
Because fuck them, that's why.
Response, because they wouldn't let me go for 3.
Because they wouldn't let me go for 3, that's sick.
With Buckeye fever.
Yes.
Ohio State followed its win over Michigan by beating O.J. Simpson's USC Trojans in the Rose Bowl.
O.J.
The Bucks' 4th national title under Woody Hayes was salt in the wound of Wolverine fans who were experiencing something unfamiliar from their beloved program: mediocrity.
Everyone goes through their ups and downs.
Previous seasons had turned a once packed big house into a cavernous memorial to past U.S.
Tell you what, the Wolverines hockey team at the minute.
People cared about Michigan football, but had felt that it had sort of fallen on hard times. You could go up to the ticket counter and buy a ticket and walk on in. And there were many times when I'd sit down in the end zone as a high school student and they'd be half empty.
Alright. Fun times for fans, I guess. Not. Alright, I'm going to pause this video here. As I said, this is going to be a 3-parter, right? So this was part 1 of a 3-part series. Requested by Bob. Bob has been a patron for a fairly long time now. Most Patreon requests are only $5, but since this was a 3-part series, he's hung around and he's held back certain months and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so I'm doing this 3-part series based on my patron Bob's request. You could get request if you wanted, you know, $5, you get a video. If you want to do a multi-part documentary like this, do what he did and just be a patron for a few months and not pick stuff while you wait. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm going to get straight into part 2. So hopefully you'll see, like, you'll definitely see it same day. Hopefully you'll see it within about an hour of it being uploaded and whatnot. If this is the first time you've stumbled across me, do me a solid, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You know how YouTube works. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subs by the end of 2021. I need about 16 or 17 per day at this rate. So if you're still not subscribed and you're watching me and you're hearing me say this at this point, do me a solid. I need your help. Hit the subscribe button. Thanks very much. Let's get to part 2. I'll see you when I look at you. You'll see me when you look at me. And yeah, thanks for watching.